Bitcoin just tapped into $75,000. Tomorrow we have the ceasefire deadline expiry. Within 24 hours, we will see if attacks resume between the US and Iran. How does this impact the market? Let's talk about it. So you can see here that today we managed to come all the way down below this pivot low at around $75,400. But thus far on the 1 hour time frame as I'm recording this video, it's only a wick. Now, what I would encourage you to do when it comes to trading this more local price action is zoom out as much as you can. Remember that we are still in a bear market, and so you won't really get the big expansive moves looking at that 15-minute time frame. Now, if you've been following the channel, you know my base case, and it has always remained that Bitcoin will likely make another low over the course of this year. However, if we take a look at the more local time frame, you'll notice that we are currently between two levels that I talked about in yesterday's video, which are essentially my no trade levels. One is the tariff capitulation lows, and two is right below $76,000. Until we can get any kind of confirmation here, whether that's to the upside above 76K or whether that's to the downside below the tariff capitulation lows, I'm simply not looking to adjust my existing Bitcoin positions. Speaking of which, yes, I do still short Bitcoin on Bluffin. I am also shorting Tau. So these are my two trades, talked about them time and time again. Nothing has changed from this perspective. I take profits on the way down, and then I manage some of the position. I keep on holding on to it in the event that we can go ahead and move lower. But to be clear, over the course of this year, my base case is that Bitcoin will be moving lower. And I just want to share this chart with you. This is the Bitcoin drawdown from all-time highs. If we take a look at all of the previous cycles, you'll notice a clear pattern here, and that is diminishing drawdowns. This is from all-time highs down to the bear market lows. You can see 90%, 85%, 80%, 75%. And today we saw Bitcoin from all-time highs to that 60K low drop just over 50%. I don't think that that is enough to justify the bear market bottom. Now, if you are an ultra long-term investor in Bitcoin, then of course, these prices can look relatively attractive if you believe that, for example, Bitcoin can hit multiple six figures in our lifetime. I personally believe this to be the case. However, I like to get close to the bear market bottom, and I like to also get close to the bull market top when it comes to selling. So, at this point in time, still holding my Bitcoin trade, and I want to see how the price action develops over the course of the next couple of days, because we had a move up to just above $78,000 last week, and then early on this week, we've already had a move up to just below $77,000. Is this printing a lower high, and will the structure change here? Because if we go on the 1 day time frame, I will not ignore the fact that we have been creating higher lows. So until we can start getting acceptance below, at the bare minimum, this pivot that we saw on Bitcoin just below $74,000, which puts us below the tariff capitulation lows, I would not be willing to say that this was the perfect top quite yet. However, if you were looking for shorting opportunities, I'll remind you, this was an excellent entry right at that bull market support band. When you tap into these levels in a bear market, they tend to act as resistance. Can we climb up? Of course, there's a possibility. But at this point in time, I've been holding my trades for quite some time, and I haven't had to enter any new trades. I am a swing trader. I enter my positions, and I patiently wait as I collect profits on the way down in the event that I'm shorting, and on the way up in the event that I am longing. By the way, if you want to see how I am personally trading the market, make sure to scroll down. The first link in the description down below brings you to my free Telegram community. If you DM me the keyword CBM, you'll get all the details to be able to join. But to be perfectly clear, the only requirement is that you've signed up with one of the affiliate exchange links down below, whether that's Bluffin, 2bit, Velto, Weeks, BTCC. It simply doesn't matter. Whatever exchange works for you and you trade on there with your own capital gives you access to my group. So that sounds interesting, you know where to find me. Now, I want to also cover the news today, because as we've come to expect, there's been a lot of back and forth between the US and Iran. So today, Vice President JD Vance was set to go to Pakistan. However, Iran says that ceasefire talks can resume only after the US lifts its blockade, which the US does not want to lift. So we have a scenario now where JD Vance does remain in Washington, and there's a little bit of a schedule shift. Iran says it will only resume ceasefire talks with the US lifts its maritime blockade, casting doubt on planned negotiations. Tehran had signaled it might attend, but later set the blockade as a condition. Pakistan is urging both sides to extend the truce, while JD Vance is expected to lead the US delegation. President Donald Trump said he is willing to prolong the conflict to eliminate the threat from Iran, as US naval restrictions remain in place amid tensions in the Strait of Hormuz. So, they're not going to participate in the talks quite yet until this blockade is removed. But we don't even know if we can believe either side here, as we've covered on the channel time and time again. I just look at the local price action, and to me, even though I do firmly believe that Bitcoin will find its way below $60,000 over the course of this year, and while this can be a local top, the structure at this point in time still suggests that maybe we have another squeeze up for another potential shorting opportunity. Now, as you know, my entries are from higher, and I've added on the way down, I've taken profits on the way down, and I'll keep you updated as that develops. So I don't really feel the urge to add to my existing position because I don't want to add more risk to the table. I hold some spot Bitcoin, but overall, I am still leaning short in this market on a higher time frame basis. The position that Bitcoin is currently in as I record this video is the same position it's been in 3 times over the past 8 months. And what is that position? October 2025, where we've had a push to the upside, and then we ended up dropping lower. Then we have January of 2026, the first significant bear market relief rally, which you'll recall I went short, and now we are at the exact same level where we've broken a little bit to the upside. Can we get sustained momentum is the real question on everyone's mind. Are we just going to reject here? My base case is that whether Bitcoin starts tapping into 80K or not, we will likely reject. That is what I've been discussing on the channel because I don't think that we've seen a sufficient bear market to justify Bitcoin already moving higher over the course of this year. So, taking a look at the liquidation heat map, this would also suggest that we can have another little push to the upside as liquidity continues to build up above $78,000. However, to the downside, you'll notice that there is significantly more liquidity. So a lot of people have started shorting, but more people have started longing. This is something that you definitely need to pay attention to. And taking a look at the Bitcoin exchange liquidation map, on the 30-day time frame, you can see that there's around 3 times more cumulative long liquidation leverage in the market compared to cumulative short liquidation leverage in the market. I do think that all of these longs will be wiped out. The question though, can we see 80K first before dropping? Or was that rejection at the bull market support band the final nail in the coffin for Bitcoin to already start moving lower? The next thing I wanted to bring to your attention, speaking of CoinGlass charts, is the Coinbase Premium. Now, this has been an interesting metric that we've covered on the channel over the past few months because it does tend to tell us when the local bottoms and local tops can be formed. Usually when the Coinbase Premium is significantly green and we get a spike, we get that local top. And when it's significantly red and we get a massive drop, we start to form some kind of local bottom. So at this point in time, you can see that we've essentially been green since the beginning of April. Are we going to get another spike of Coinbase Premium and then drop afterwards? Only time will tell, but I actually do think that this will play out in that fashion. And that sums up today's quick video. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.